Yeah, my name's Nikita Lev. I'm from New York City, grew up on the Upper West Side. I mean, everyone that I know is trying to be somebody, and that's amazing. But the thing that I really love about it is that everyone's really supportive of each other. Okay, I love to go see Fuckers. Fuckers is really fun. Sid Simon's, I like the Telescreens, I like the Dares classic. I love the music that you can like really jam out to, like really dance to. I mean, that's the thing I love about the music scene is that there's like a lot of really great energy at shows. I think Austin was fun, but that wasn't in New York. But that was when I first saw Fuckers. I was pretty high and we were just like at the Fuckers show and I was like, this is amazing. And I hated them for it because it was so cool. I was like, God, they've got this dynamic and the shanty's jumping up and down and the lights were it wasn't even like I was surrounded by friends or anything. I was just like, this is so cool. I don't know, there's a lot of stuff on my mind, but in that, like, I don't know, the Fuckers show just kind of like, it cleared my head. And I was like, God, it just felt free. It was great. But the way that Jackson Walker Lewis was playing the bass, also they just looked like they were having so much fun. I feel like I'm really early on. Up until about like 2 weeks ago, I was playing by myself. I know what you need, come run away with me. We can be pirates, follow me to the horizon. I'm about to put out an EP. And then I got more organized and I got a guitarist and a drummer to play with me. And we're going on tour in the fall in Europe. Apparently people like my music in like Germany and Switzerland. So, okay, this is actually interesting. So I listened to the Ion Pack when I lived in LA. I found out about it through my roommate because she listened to them and then I was like, oh, I'll check them out. I'm a big fan of the 1975 and they were putting on a festival in London. And the Ion Pack had a party, and Curtis, one of the Ion Pack guys, opened for Matty Healy in that festival. They had a party, and I went to both. And I it was just fun. I sort of introduced myself. I remember I was dancing, and I stepped on KJ's toes, and I apologized immediately. But he's like, oh no, it's fine, and then whatever, kept dancing. But then back in New York, I went to this screening that they put on, and then afterwards, they're like, hey, you were in London. I was like, yeah, I was in London. Then we kind of got connected and started chatting, and I started showing up to their events all the time, and then through them, I kind of met a lot of other people. And we met at KJ's birthday. I think you just gotta say yes to things from the people that you find interesting. You get tapped in somehow. And then you show up. I think showing up is so important. But the funny thing about after the screening, everyone met up at a bar, and I was like, oh God, I'm so scared to go inside because I was all alone. And I think that was a major formative moment that I was like, okay, I'm not gonna go home. I know that I'm not gonna go home, but I just need to take a couple breaths here to get over my anxieties and just go inside, even though I don't know anybody. You gotta be really open. You gotta be willing to have fun. Because I think that a lot of people you can be shy, but I think it's important that you have those moments where you just kind of fuck it. You're like, whatever. I lived in a completely different city growing up. I mean, uptown is so different than here, and I don't know. It's very family. It's a really great place to grow up. But down here, it's much more of my playground. A while after I graduated high school, I moved to LA for about a year. One thing that I noticed about LA versus New York is everyone's also trying to be somebody, but it's very competitive, whereas here it's not so much. I mean, LA has its moments and it's beautiful in some places, but I think that it's really only for, I don't know, a certain type of person. I mean, LA is just incredibly isolating. It's so spread out. It's hard to create a scene there unless you're really close in proximity. It's just inconvenient. Yeah, and also people don't want to go from place to place. If you're oh yeah, let's go to this club or this bar or whatever, and then people stay there. They don't want to keep the night going. Everywhere in LA closes at 2 anyway. even if I didn't grow up here, I feel like I would still gravitate towards New York anyway. I'm so excited. I'm going home tomorrow. Ah, I hate LA. Well, I grew up here.
But when you came back from LA,
I came back, I was 19.
Yeah. And how has it been navigating the scene as a 19-year-old?
Pretty fun. A lot of people are, it was always really funny telling, like when people asked how old I was, I'd always make them guess. And then I would be like, 24. I'm like, no. And I would tell them that I was 19. They'd always be so surprised. And I always felt very powerful. There's definitely, at first I was like, I don't want anyone to know how young I am because I don't want people to like, I don't know, think of me differently or like, I don't know, I didn't want any projections based on my age. But, you know, I think that also, I was also new to the scene and I wanted to make my own impression rather than be like, hi, I'm 19. And people would be like, okay, she's a child. When I was playing a show at Pianos one time, like not the recent show, but and I gave them my fake ID and the guy like bent it in half. And I was like, bro, that's so, I mean, I'm playing here. Like you have to let me in. And he was like, I know. And he just, I was like, dude. Yeah, there was one incident at Baby's All Right, like in January. I was kind of devastated because I was with friends and I was like, I don't want to ruin their night, but I just went home. I was sad, but it was fine. I think I was also just in a mood. I think it was Sid's show. Like he had invited me and whatever, and I was like, I can't get it. It's embarrassing. You know, you're like, everyone's there and you're like, I'm underage. I mean, everyone wants to, you know, come across cool and capable and, you know, interesting and fun and like, but I just, obviously you don't have to tell people what you don't want to tell people. I mean, it is a comforting thought to be like, yeah, probably other people have this complex too, so. I'm constantly like writing little ideas, and a lot of the time when I write, I have a lot of lyrical ideas or like even like a full song, and I'll like kind of figure it out like with a riff and with the guitar or on a piano. But there's this song on my new EP called Raw that I really like, that I didn't at first. I started writing it, I was like, I don't know if I like this. It's kind of weird, it kind of goes all over the place. But I don't know, it's one of those songs that if I don't like it, the way that it's going, I'm like, I'll come back to it, and that kind of falls to the wayside. But this one, I really was like, I felt like this one was kind of kismet in a way. And it's one of my favorite songs now. Well, like the process of producing it, I was like, I kind of want it to sound like a guy in like full armor falling down the stairs. That was the vibe I was going for. And he was like, okay, let's see what we can do. And I was like, okay. And then we kind of just went back and forth and figured it out together. So it's good. Let it come naturally. And I don't think that's bad advice, but I think I do it to an extent of like, oh yeah, no, if I'm not feeling this right now, I'm just gonna like not do it. I think your instinct is so important as an artist, as a person that creates. You have to really, that's your whole thing. That's the whole reason why you're doing it, is because you're like, I know what this is supposed to look like. I know I have an idea. I hear it and it's perfect and it's good, but also at the same time, if your instinct is like, maybe later, then maybe you should, I mean, sure, like take breaks, but I think that you gotta have the balance. Just gotta orient yourself like, yeah, it's a job. Like you gotta wake up and you gotta do it. That's, you know, that's the realization that's, you know, harsh sometimes. Even like a couple months ago, I was kind of like, yeah, not like consciously, but like I'm going on this tour, I've got the EP coming out. I was like, oh, I need to start taking myself seriously too. Because if I don't take myself seriously, then no one else will. Stop like bullshitting around and being like, yeah, no, this is genuinely what I'm doing now. The transition between like I write songs in my bedroom and then like, you know, I meet people and then they like introduce me to other people and then I end up recording with them and then we like figure out a way to put it out. Like that's so different than like being like, okay, I wake up, I gotta answer all my my manager's emails and all the shit that she wants me to do. I've gotta like record this for this like thing, whatever. It's like, it's all this, it's like really, you gotta like keep a list. It's not a creative act all the time. Most of the time it's not. I have loads. St. Vincent is actually one of them. I love her so much. Radiohead, a lot. I love the like cool, gritty, like 90s kind of textural, but also ambient feelings like Radiohead. I love house music too. I mean, I've really been into a lot of like Curtis Mayfield recently. In my music, I'm like trying to bridge the gaps between like R&B and soul and like house music and like Radiohead and like rock. It's like, I'm like, ah. My EP is called I Believed It at the Time, and it's got 7 songs. I wrote all of them myself, all by myself, and worked on the songs with a couple different people, a couple different producers. I Believed It at the Time. Stream it everywhere now.
Cool.
Good?
Yeah.
Cool.